Hey, Kadeem.
Hey,
How are you doing today?
good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very excited.
I've never done this before, so
Me neither. It's all good. We're going to get through it together. Yeah, I'm very excited. But yeah, without further ado, to everybody who doesn't know, this is Kadeem Clarke. He played with the club for a number of years as an athlete. And during that time, he won 2 beach provincial championships, 3 provincial championships, and 2 national championships, one of which was actually an 18U national championship. He started coaching with the club when he was 15 in house leagues, and he's been a rep coach for 7 years now. I think
yeah,
it's something like that. So
yeah,
yeah, we're very excited to have him on today. He also played at Sheridan for a little bit for post-secondary, and he was also my coach for 3 years.
yep.
So I'm very excited to have you on. So I guess the first thing I kind of want to get into is what was your playing career like, and like playing beach with Jesse and being part of that like 18U nationals team, because you guys were part of that for a while. So yeah.
Yeah. It was fun. I was fortunate to play all my 5 years of youth volleyball with Pac-Man, so I'm proud of that. Um, we were one of those teams that were a little bit different than everyone else. Um, we we were in a unique situation because we all kind of grew up together. Jesse and T, they did their interview already, and they already talked about how close we all were. And the funny thing was that like we were spending more time with each other than we were with our own families. So like we were like brothers to each other. That's how we treat each other every single day. And we were all competitive. We love sports. Um, and we were one of those players who loved to trash. You know? We always, summertime, we'd get together in the neighborhood and play basketball. We'd all talk trash to each other. So that was the environment that we were used to. So it was fun. We were fortunate enough for some years to win. Um, we had a great coach. We had a good coaching staff, Kelly Smith. I remember a couple of years we had Dan, had we had Wally Daibo, which is the York University coach. So that was fun. And yeah, I had a lot of fun playing with those guys, and I remember it all to this day, and we're all pretty much close friends to this day. So I'm proud of that.
Yeah, and I think that relationship is so amazing. Like, I think a really funny thing for me too, like when I joined the club, I remember the first time I practiced at David Leader, Jesse was like, "Oh, Kadeem and I's name is on this banner from Winning Beach and everything." So, like, because Kelly, or sorry, Mr. Smith was your coach at school and with the club, like, how was that relationship and like playing with Jesse, like both in OVA tournaments and also in school? Like, how was that experience for the two of you?
It was funny because me and Jesse, we had a unique relationship. We both started playing beach with other players, and we liked our partners, to be honest. And I remember Kelly bringing up the idea one day to us of like we should partner up. And at first we didn't really like it, because we kind of enjoyed playing with the partners that we had already. But the thing was that like for some reason our chemistry was crazy when we played together, and even like I think it was our second tournament we ever played together at 14U, we ended up winning. So after that, Kelly kind of just said, you know what, I know you guys have other people that you'd rather play with, but if you want to be successful, you know, play with each other. And we valued winning over everything. So if that was the that we needed to make, we did it. So yeah, it was
That's
fun.
yeah.
Um, we definitely had our moments where we hated each other, but there's no one looking back that I would rather go to war with, which was Jesse. So, I'm thankful to this day of all the hard work that we put in and all the success we had on the beach. It was fun.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I guess I want to now talk about your 18U national championship, which was also with Jesse and a bunch of the other people that you were describing before. How was that experience for you guys? Because obviously in the club, it's a very big deal, or in all of Canada, it's a very big deal when you win an 18U national championship. Like, that's the one. So how did that experience feel for you and to win it with people that you've grown up with for a long time?
Um, it was honestly. when we first won, it was surreal because it's kind of like we didn't even realize the moment we were in. Because, every year we trained for that moment, for 18U nationals, because it was the biggest thing that you can accomplish in youth volleyball. And, we had our ups and downs that year. We were kind of plagued with injuries. And, a couple of times we were down on ourselves, where we kind of thought, is this going to happen? But, we knew how resilient we were. And we knew, at any given moment, when we turn it on, there's no beat us. So we always had that mindset. And we knew, given all the things that we've been through, it just made us mentally stronger. And when we've gone into that finals, we're the type of team where the bigger the crowd, the better we play. Right? We love playing bigger crowd. So, the mistake they made in that nationals finals that they got everyone to come and watch, to be honest. And once we saw that crowd, we kind of looked at each other and we knew there's no way we're going to lose this game. And, when we finally won, it was kind of like we actually did it. Everything that we said we wanted to do, we did. And, that's something that we share to this day. So, again, I'm just proud.
Yeah, definitely. And where was the nationals hosted?
I think it was Ottawa that year. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure Ottawa that year. And we ended up facing the home crowd. I think it was the quarterfinals. And, even that game was, a big crowd because you have, everyone, they have their aunts, uncles, best friends, everyone coming out and cheering against us. And again, we're one of those teams where, the more hostile the environment was, the better we played. So we just that energy, and that was the mistake I think the Ottawa Mavericks made that day. And it kind of fueled us moving forward into our semis and our finals.
And that's definitely something like I think something that you always preached like to our team was never be bullied by anybody. Never let anybody bully you. So I can totally see that environment was something that you guys took on as a challenge and it was like, we're going to do this and we're going to win and we're going to show them how it's done type of thing.
Yeah, exactly, right. And you guys did a really good job of understanding that environment as well. Is that at the end of the day, no matter the louder they cheer, the more worried they actually are. Once you guys realize that, and the only people that matter are the ones that are on the court, right? So the second you guys started identifying that, you were a dangerous team, no matter who was in front of you. So proud of that as well.
Definitely. All right, so now let's move on to Sheridan. So after your time at Pac-Man, you played at Sheridan, and McAllister was your coach. So how, like, you guys obviously are still in touch now, and you're both coaching now. But how did that relationship kind of evolve? And like from playing high school too, because he coached at Rick Hansen. So what was that relationship like while you were playing in high school volleyball too?
Well, it was funny because when I first met Mac, I was probably like 14, 15 years old. And, he was one of those guys who, he was very passionate. He let his passion show through his coaching. And, a lot of people can get intimidated by that. But, we've always had those type of coaches. I had Kelly. He was passionate as well. He was a tough love type of coach. So I felt like, once I realized that he was going to be my college coach, I thought it was like a perfect match, because it was exactly what I needed. The players that were on that team, they were all men. So we didn't need, somebody to ask us how we were feeling, or, are you guys okay? We needed somebody that was going to be assertive, who's going to, give tough love, show us what we needed to do. And that was him. That was Mac. And, to this day, some of the things that as I'm talking to you guys and I was coaching you guys, I catch myself sometimes saying exactly the same things that he would say. And, when I remember, I think the most unique moment with us was one day he came and watched me coach, and he saw a lot of the same things that he would say to me, I was saying to you guys. So, and then he talked to me after practice. So that was one moment that, I cherished with him. And yeah, we're still close to this day.
That's so amazing. Like I think that having that relationship, especially now as coaches, like not only did you look up to him as an athlete, but also like now as a coach, like finding yourself preaching the same things, like learning from him still. So I think that's so amazing. And one thing that I did want to bring up, I remember our team, like we were at an away tournament, we played the song Sweet Caroline. And that is the first time I realized your relationship with that song. I just thought that was a funny story. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, basically, Mac knew that my warm-up music was important to me. And, every single time, before games, I would love to listen to rap or, certain like hip hop songs. And, you know, that would hype me up to, play better in games. And he would always switch the music when I was hitting, and he would play that same song. And he used to get me so upset because I felt like it would just, mess with my mojo. I wouldn't be able to play as well. And I remember one time, I think we were at a party, one of the team parties, and you guys played that song. And it just brought up all those moments. And you guys kind of saw it in my face that I didn't like the song, but you didn't understand, like, why doesn't he like the song? Why doesn't he like it? And then the second you realized I didn't like it, you guys kept playing it and kept playing it and kept playing it. So that's the hit song.
Yeah.
You know?
I have that. Yeah, I have that video on my phone of us all sitting with our parents too. Like it was an away tournament at Ottawa or something, and we were all, and you're just sitting there and you're just shaking your head, and all of us are just singing it in your face. I like that video is one of the funniest things to me, but I don't know, I just thought that was like a funny story, definitely. But yeah, I guess like moving on from Sheridan, when you decided to coach at Pac-Man, like you had mentioned to me before that you were coaching house leagues, like starting at 15. And I guess what was the shift for you where you wanted more, like where you decided that you wanted to take on your own team?
Yeah, like one of the unique situations with the players, my teammates, was that we got an opportunity to work when we were teenagers, and for the club, we got a chance to work through the house league programs. And, I was always proud of the fact that, I didn't want to burden my parents with my team fees. So one thing that I wanted to do was just work it off. So I always worked for our house league programs, and, it would help me stay active with volleyball and just not sitting around at home doing nothing and make money and, just give back to my parents. And, even after, I continued to coach the house league program, but I always wanted more, and everyone can see that. And, some of the other guys, they were already coaching rep, and, they would always come in at work and talk about their players, and it was just nice to see that they were enjoying, they would coach them every single week, and they would see, those improvements. With me, I was only coaching house league. So I would coach these kids maybe once a week, and they didn't really have that passion for the game the way I wanted them to. And I would never see, okay, well, are they developing properly? Like, I don't get to see them playing games or their school teams. So I always wanted something more. And, I remember Kelly came up to me one summer and he asked me, do you want to coach rep? And I said, absolutely. And it was funny because at first he wanted me to coach on the boys' side. And I thought about it for a while, but, the reason why I chose girls, because I just felt like, we were a boys' club first. And, we were established on the boys' side, and we had a lot of, coaches on the boys' side that the Pac-Man culture, and I wanted to bring, because I was one of those players who were part of the original Pac-Man team, but there weren't a lot of coaches that were from the original Pac-Man team that coached on the girls' side. So I realized that and I said, hey, why not? Because ultimately I wanted to be the best club, period, not just on the boys' side. So I said, you know what? Let me go on the girls' side. Let me try to embrace that Pac-Man culture for you guys. And I think it worked. Well, I hope it worked. And, watching you guys and seeing how you guys have grown through the years, I think you guys embody that Pac-Man culture. And like we talked about before, I'm proud of that.
Yeah, definitely. And I also want to ask you, like, Pratik is another example of an original Pac-Man player who ended up coaching girls. Did you like influence him at all to do that, or were you involved in that decision making, or what was the story behind that, or was that his own thing kind of?
I wouldn't say that I like influenced him. I kind of just showed him the pathway, because I knew that he started off by coaching a B team, and he was one of those coaches who was really passionate as well, right? And he put everything into his, uh, his players, and the only thing that I knew, would bother even me as a coach was that as great as he did, the next year, if those players were really good and developing properly, they would just move on to the A team, right? So he would never get to see, or never get a chance to coach them, and that was all his hard work that he put in. And I'm like, you know what? You're good. You're a good coach. You deserve to continue to coach your players, right? So I just told him, and the hard part about that moving forward, there wasn't really any boys A teams that were available. So that instead of focusing so much on the boys side, like look at the girls side, because there are a couple girls teams that need great coaches. He was a great coach. He would get to stay with them and develop those players, and he'd always get the first pick of the best 12 girls. And when he thought about it, and ultimately decided to join the girls side, and he's also one of those coaches who understands that Pac culture and is always going to bring it to anyone that he coaches. So I'm really proud of the job he's been the last couple of years with his teams.
Yeah, definitely. And I think another thing that's like so nice about the two of you coaching both on the girls side is like in the past, you guys have assistant coached each other's teams and like been able to share your ideas with each other. Like I think that's such an important connection to have. And like that's super cool that you guys were able to do that.
Yeah, and he's also like one of my closest friends, so that also helps as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess now talking about your first ever team. So you started coaching in 13U, which is the team I would eventually join a little longer down the road. But like, what was that experience like for you? Just getting your like, we've talked about this before, but like showing up at your first tournament, how that was, and how you felt.
Yeah, it was. I think I got a big wake up call because I was only coaching house league at that point, and when I got my first team and I looked at them and I saw them improving, I thought, you know what, like, yeah, we're sick. We're gonna go to the first tournament. We're gonna be like a top 5 team. We might not win, but we'll get there soon. And I remember the first game I ever coached, we were coaching against you guys, and you were on the Titans at that point, and you guys had a really good team, and you guys put one of the biggest beatings on us that I still remember to this day. And it kind of gave me a big wake up call to say, you know what, like this is gonna take a little bit longer than I anticipated. So, it was definitely something that needed to happen, and with me, it just motivated me. So, yeah, like I still remember those girls. They were a great group. They worked very hard, and through each year, we have players that I'm proud that was on that team from 13U that played on the team at 18 years, like players like Kaylee.
Yeah. And I think that like that hard work ethic and like that team culture really showed through because in 16U, like I came to Pacman and tried out along with two other players from my Titans team. And not only in 13U, but in 14U and 15U too, like my team was pretty strong. And we, whenever we'd match up, like for the most part, we would beat you guys. And so I think like for some people, they may have been confused. Why did the three of us switch? Like if we were like, and switch to your team specifically. And I think like for me, I just remember like seeing such a hard work ethic, even though you guys weren't winning, like everything, you were getting better every single time. And like that's definitely a factor that really drew me towards your team. And I think that like that reflects all the culture that you preach like within your team, like things like sacrificing for your team, having each other's backs, making sure that you're being aggressive. Like why do you choose to, I guess, preach those specific things to all your teams?
Well, Me, it's just more of what my experience as a player. I had I had guys that I really cared about that played next to me, you know, and I wanted to see them, succeed just as much as myself, sometimes even more. And I knew that, when you have that type of culture, or that type of environment, then volleyball is not just an experience. Like, you end up loving it, fall in love with the sport. And I think that was one of the things that we tried to stress with our environment. Coaches like Lindsay and Jesse that I had that year. They all. The funny thing about Lindsay is that she grew up with us as well, with me and Jesse. So she understands it. She was a Pac-Man player as well. So she understands that culture just as much as we do. And we all kind of tried to push that on you guys. And it was like, it happened naturally for you guys. You guys all started embracing each other like siblings. And I think that was the key that brought you guys to us, is that win or lose, you saw that we were having fun and we were enjoying the game. And we were also super serious, competitive, and trying to get better. So when you have all those things, it becomes in more than just, oh, I just play volleyball. It's like, I actually love this sport and I'm willing to do anything for it.
Yeah. And like, again, that was something that was super evident to see when your team was playing, like, regardless if I was on it or before I was on it. And then after, like, I remember, like, sometimes I'd walk through the halls and, like, people would come up to me and say, your team is, like, so passionate and, like, you guys seem to, like, enjoy and love what you're doing. And, like, I took that as the biggest compliment because I knew that it was a result of, like, the coaching staff and what you guys really emphasized to us. And I think another funny thing is that Lindsay actually joined the same year that I did, along with, I think we had myself and four other people joined in 16U, and so did Lindsay. And I think that was like such a natural click, like having Lindsay there. She really, like, we really took a liking to her when she joined. Like, how was that, having her as an assistant coach?
Well, it was like, it was just natural because me and Lindsay already knew each other, right? Like I said, like, me, Jesse, and Lindsay, we all grew up together. So uh, Lindsay is very similar to us. So it wasn't like, oh, she came into our group and we had to, like, update her on, okay, this is how things were done. She kind of looked in and she's like, this is the environment I love to be in. And, I want to, and she fell in love with this team just as much as me and Jesse did, and, we all just wanted to see you guys succeed and just get better. And, the fact that we all shared that, me, Jesse, and Lindsay, just wanted to see you guys win and get better. I think it was just like, okay, what are we willing to do? What do we need to sacrifice to make sure that you guys are not just getting better, but win? Because we ultimately thought that you guys deserve to win. You're the hardest working group. You're the smartest working group. And what do we need to do as coaches to put you in an environment to win?
And that 16 year, like, the cherry on the top was definitely like winning that provincials. And how did that feel for you? Like, your first provincial championship as a coach?
Um, it's something I'll never forget. And it's more based on, like, how it happened. Um, that Hurricanes team, they were a very good team, very dominant team. They won provincials, I think, every year before that. So it was kind of just like, everyone was looking up at them, saying, okay, who's going to be the one to dethrone the Hurricanes? And they had a couple players that everyone kind of looked up to. And I felt like that motivated us even more, because we're just like, hey, they're not that special. We're just as good as them. And, it was a buildup. At the beginning of the year, we could lose two straight. But, we saw the weakness that every single time they faced us, we got a little bit closer. They were a little bit more worried, and by Grand Prix is when we kind of, hit our peak. We hit our stride and we gained that confidence, And once we had that confidence, it didn't matter any team that you put in front of us. I thought we were going to win. So,
Yeah.
and the fact that we actually accomplished that provincial championship.
I think one of the only pictures I have of you smiling is in that team picture. In every single other team picture we've ever taken, you're just like straight faced. But in that one picture, you just have the biggest smile. And it's so funny because when we went to watch back the points that we won, like Lindsay and all the bench like ran onto the court, and you're like holding your clipboard, you do like a little jump, and then you just like, you're like, okay, calm, and then you go and congratulate all of us. Like, I think that's so funny that like it was evident that you were very happy that that happened, and that you were really happy with the way it happened. And I think another funny detail about that that many people might not know is that you did promise us that you would show us your grade school cheerleading video. You would find it from a teacher at David Leader if we won. I always thought that you didn't think we were going to win, because who would want to embarrass themselves like that?
Yeah.
But did you do that to motivate us? Did you think we were going to win?
Well, first, I think I should explain the backstory to that. So a couple of me and, you know, my teammates, we were all competing to be athlete of the year in grade 8. And, you know, we would ask, you know, the council that would decided athlete of the year, okay, what do we need to do? And they're like, hey, the first thing you guys need to do is join as many sports teams as you can. But the funny thing is that we all did basketball, volleyball, soccer. We played every single sport. But the one sport that we knew that everyone wouldn't be willing to do was cheerleading, right? Because they're like, cheerleading, that's a girl's sport. Like, who's going to want to play that? But we looked at it differently. We're just like, okay, we just got to be throwers. We don't have to wear like the other stuff. We get to wear track pants and normal shirt. We get to learn crazy flips and stuff. And then we're around girls all day. We're just like, that's a bonus. Plus, we get closer to winning athlete of the year. So we decided to do cheerleading that year. And we did like a big competition where we went to Canada's Wonder. We had to do like this whole routine, and we actually did very well. And, you know, I knew that, you know, you guys have never seen me do anything like that. So, you know, every single time you guys played, I said, you know what could I say to kind of motivate you guys to come through and win these games when I know you guys were tired. And, you know, this is one thing that I learned from, T knows. This is one thing that I learned from Kelly, was that, you know, anytime your team is tired, or, you know, your team is you know, low on gas, you just, you know, motivate them with something. So he always used to say, guys, if you win, Pizza Hut, you know, I'll bring all you guys to Pizza Hut, and you know, it'll be free pizza, you know, anything you guys want. And, you know, we'd all be tired, huffing and puffing, and we'd all just look at each other, and we're just like, Pizza Hut, you know, we're all hungry, because that was the only thing that was on our mind. You know, we're 16-year-old boys, like, it's food, like, we just love to eat. Hey, I'm just gonna motivate these guys with a pizza party. So every single time I said that, you know, all of a sudden we have our second wind, we have a bunch of energy, we're ready to go. And yeah, I remember one year he promised us Cedar Point. He said, you know, if you guys win nationals, I'll bring you guys to Cedar Point. And, you know, we didn't end up going. And hey, Kelly, it's never too late. We can still get the guys together and still go. But yeah, I said, you know what? I stole that from him. And I said, if you guys win, I'll try to find the video of my cheerleading routine. And I did, you know.
It took a year or so, but I think Andrea still has the USB.
Yeah, I gave it to Andrea, and, you know, she showed anyone who didn't see the video, talk to Andrea, because she has it. But yeah, it was fun. And yeah, it was a good routine. It wasn't as bad as you guys thought it was going to be.
No, it was actually good. I think we were expecting you to be wearing a costume and everything, but no, it was very, very professional. You did a backflip. We were very impressed. So no, overall great performance, Kadeem, on that one. So we were very excited to see that. So I guess after 16U, like that year, we really wanted to win nationals. Like we were on this streak. Like we were finally finding like our pace. Like we were finding our rhythm, and we wanted to win nationals, and then we lost in quarters, which happened for the rest of the 3 years. Like again, we won provincials in 17U, and then we slipped up at nationals, and then in 18U, like we came third, which was good for the circumstance, but then at nationals, like we choked again. So not that we choked, but it was definitely not the outcome that we hoped for. So like as a coach wanting to win the nationals, like you also knew how much we wanted to win that nationals. Like How did you feel through that whole journey when we weren't able to do that?
Well, I think the one thing that people, especially with Pac-Man, because we have so much success on both sides, is that it's not. It's actually very difficult to win, and we definitely winning nationals. I think that's what hurt the most is that we knew we were always good enough, but with nationals, it always takes a bit of luck, and I just felt like at certain points, we were unlucky, and at some points we didn't play our best, but someone like me who, obviously anyone who's played for me knows that winning matters to me. I really want every single year. I'm highly competitive. You guys are too. But one thing that, losing, especially the 18 year, because I feel like that was the most important year, was that there's more to the game than just winning, right? And the I always, and I hope I don't get in trouble by saying this, but I would always talk about your team and I'd say you guys are my pride. And the reason why I'd always say that was because you guys taught me a very valuable lesson when it came to nationals was that, at the end of the day, even though we didn't win, you guys gave me everything. I never questioned your heart. I never questioned your work ethic, you know, and that was the one thing I was proud of. And it's just what fueled me in wanting you guys to win nationals even more was because you guys were the perfect athletes in my mind, right? Even when we lost, right? You guys would take your loss. You wouldn't have any excuses. You wouldn't sit there and say, oh, it was the ref's fault or it was this fault. You just said, hey, next year we just got to be better. We got to come back stronger. And, hopefully that will bring us to the national championship. So I think it was more about that really fueled me and made me want you guys to win every single year. And even after we lost 18U, I think you were talking to me and you're telling me how shocked you guys were that I wasn't upset. And I said, how can I be mad at that point? You guys gave me everything, right? You guys left it all on the court, and that's what I've asked you to do every single year. That try your best, right? And that's something I never questioned with you guys, and you gave me everything. So I was just proud, right? That was just how I felt at the end of it. I was just proud of you guys, and I knew that you guys, I think what I value the most that now moving forward is that all of you guys are honor students. You're playing volleyball at the highest level, right? And you're all super competitive. People love to play with you guys, and that's where my pride is. That to me is more important than winning. And trust me, you know how much I want to win every single year. So
Yeah, like I think especially with the year we had, like that 18U loss was devastating for like all of us. And I remember like Lindsay and our other assistant coach Devin, like they were like trying to hold tears back, and I thought even Jesse was gonna cry for a second. And we were like walking, trying to find a spot to sit after to like do the whole debrief and everything. And we all sat down. We were like, all right, we don't really know what's coming. And that like the way you handled that situation is like forever in my mind because like you handled it so well. And I think when we talked about this before, you said like you knew in that moment that there was nothing you could say that was worse than what we were already telling ourselves. So like I think that all of us really looked up to you when you did that because it showed that like you you really cared about us as not only athletes but as people. And so I think that was a really nice way to like end off the year, even with that loss. So yeah, I just want to say I'm very grateful for the way you handled it too. um,
like I said, it's like I feel like with Pac-Man we're a family, right? And that was what our club was created based off of. So it's just you guys, and I'm sure Lindsay and Jesse feel the exact same way, but it's more of you guys are just like family to us. So that's what's important to me.
Thanks, Kadeem. And Lindsay actually wanted to know what your favorite moment from coaching that team was. Like 13U to 18U. In that entire spectrum, what was your favorite moment?
My favorite moment. That's tough because there's
Or
so.
one. Or just one.
I think okay. One of the funniest moments was um, and I'm sure Lindsay will appreciate this one. Was the one where I think we went to Quebec.
Okay.
That winter storm, and we had that huge hill. And was it? I think it was. We were all trying to, for some reason, try to race up the hill.
All the parents,
Was
not the athletes. It was
dads?
the parents.
And Tia's dad, he caught a cramp going up halfway, and I saw him, and I couldn't leave my man behind, so I had to carry him the rest of the way. Yeah, Brad, I had to carry him the rest of the way up. I think that was one of my favorite moments.
And I remember that because all of us, you wouldn't let us go up the hill. Like all the athletes, or I can't remember if we just decided not to, but I'm pretty sure.
Hill.
Pardon?
It was a big hill. Like it was actually hurt yourself.
I remember because there was a street light, and the top of the street light was at the top of the hill. So all the snow was back. Like it was huge. And I just remember Brad was having a little bit of a mishap halfway up, and you're going up there like in your socks and slides, like trying to push him.
I had to lift him up, I couldn't leave him behind.
No, that was definitely a very good moment. That has to be one of my favorites too. But I guess moving on from our team, in our 18U year, you were coaching the 14U girls? Yeah, you were coaching a 14U girls team, which is now your 15U team, and this year you also coached a 14U girls team. So I guess I want to ask, from coaching my team, have you found similarities and differences between the teams? Have there been anything from my team that you've implemented, like coaching for them, or what's that been like?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you guys share. One of the key things was that, they're moving into their 16th year, and, their previous season was almost identical to our 16U season, where, we started off slow. As each tournament went by, we were slowly getting better. We moved to the top division, and, just as the Corona pandemic hit, we were a top 5 team. So, we were just hitting our stride, just as when you guys hit Grand Prix, it was the same thing for them. So that was what, you guys share. They are a bit different though. I think it's just, a generation thing. They definitely learn and pick up things really fast, so how they conduct themselves, it's really different. And I have to, I definitely coach them differently. I'm a lot calmer with them than I was with you guys. But they're a team that I'm super excited for, because we have a couple really good athletes. We have 2 athletes that just made Timo, Ella and Sarah. Sarah made the beach Timo team, and Ella made indoor. So I'm excited to see, them and how they progress as players. And that team, they have some really good players, and I see them accomplishing the same thing you guys did, provincials, and hopefully a national championship soon.
Yeah, definitely. I really hope that for them too. And also, because more of your players have been going to Jeff Chung, you started coming this year. Yep. So obviously you know who Jeff Chung is and what he teaches, but how was that for you, actually going and helping him coach the sessions and seeing coaching the 15Us to 18Us at the same time and with the libs? How was that for you?
Well, Jeff is a legend. I think everyone kind of knows how special that man is, and not knowledge, but how he is as a coach, and how disciplined he is, right? And I've always heard stories about Jeff, and I've seen a product of Jeff's players, because you've been trained by Jeff for how many years, and some of the best setters to come out of our club have trained with Jeff for years. So I finally got a chance to be in that environment and experience it, and it was great. It was much more than I even thought it was, and I'm excited to get back into the gym and honestly just learn from him, because that's when sometimes I catch myself not saying enough, because I'm literally just trying to listen to everything he's saying and just learn from an amazing volleyball mind. So yeah, I'm super excited to every Sunday to just walk into his gym and just learn from him, because he's one of the best.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely agree. Very intense, very disciplined, but definitely knows his athletes and teaches well. I very much agree with that. And I guess one of the last topics I want to talk about is, I don't know how many people know, but like I assistant coached your team last year, like when I had my injury. And I think like you gave me that opportunity. Like I kind of came to you and was like, I had been coaching house leagues, kind of similar to you. Like I had been coaching house leagues, but I wanted to experience something a little bit different and like give back. And I think that you truly inspired me to do that. And like not only preaching the culture on the court and in practice, but like also how we act as people and like giving back to our community, how important that is. So like, how does that feel to know that you like influenced me to give back and like pursue coaching as well, as especially as a girl, because there's not too many girls in the club who have chosen that path.
Yeah, it's just, again, I'm just proud to know that you guys are willing to give back, because that's not something that you see very often. And, I just want to do my part in helping to change that mind, having players that always want to come back and give back to the clubs that they played for. And, it's a little bit difficult with, especially on the girls' side, because the players tend to move around a little bit more than on the boys' side. Right. But, once you find somewhere that fits, right, like what you guys did, what Andrea did, once you guys found that team that, you were just as passionate about than you were with anything else, then you're willing to come back and give back to the club. And, if you even watch the boys' side, how many players came back and coached, right? There's so many that I can name, right? And I just want to make sure that the girls' side is doing that as well, because that's how you create a really dominating club, right? When you have, again, that family environment where people are willing to come back and give back, because they're like, this is my family. This is who, this is who kind of brought me up as a volleyball athlete. And I want to make sure that the new generation follows that same footsteps, right? And not just do it just as good, but even better than we did it.
Yeah, 100%. And like this year too, I was lucky that I got to help out with Deem's 13U girls team. So that was a super fun experience. I wasn't able to be as involved, but I was still very grateful for that experience. And I hope that in university in the summers that I'll be able to continue doing that. But we will see. But I guess I want to ask you, what are some of your future goals as a coach? Obviously winning nationals, but I guess in the more like immediate future, still in COVID and that, and like working with your team to kind of get back from that?
Well, I think the future is just continue to embrace or teach you guys the Pac-Man culture, and bring success to the club, of course. And just, I think the boys side has done a very good job. And look at the men's team. An athlete like Shawan, he represents our national team, and he came from our club. I just want to see that we do the same thing on the girls' side. Hopefully you one day. I know you'll get there eventually. Athletes like Kaylee that can definitely make the national team, and not just make the national team, but be the face of the national team. And I think that's where I'm looking towards, and get a chance to still grow, because there's still so much to learn as a coach. And not a lot of coaches get the opportunity to learn from great volleyball minds like McAllister, and Kelly, and Jeff Chung, right? And guys like Dustin Reed,
And like Brenda Willis, and yeah.
Tell me another club that gets to all those coaches to come in and work with the other coaches and players, right? So I just want to take those opportunities to learn and get better as a coach.
Definitely. And the last question I have for you is, what is some advice you could give to young athletes, maybe from the coach's perspective, like let's say coming to tryouts?
Is to just always have the mindset of, I don't just want to be a good player, but I want to be that player that players want to play with, right? Because there's lots of players out there that are skilled and athletic, right? But sometimes they don't have the success that they deserve because no one wants to play with them, right? Because it's always about them, right? The only thing I can, I want to tell these athletes, these young athletes, is that it's still a team sport at the end of the day, right? And just as much as you can hit a ball or you can set a ball or dig a ball, right? You got to be a leader, right? You got to be that player that knows the right things to say to how to get those people around you to play for you or play with you, right? And I think that's something that was kind of lost. But when I watch some of the players that are coming through our system now, I'm proud to see that they have that. You know, they're not just concerned about themselves and getting better as an individual player, but they're also thinking mentally about, okay, what do I need to do to be stronger so that, you know, if my team is relying on me to get this point at this certain time, I can do that. Or if my team needs me to take a bench role and just to sit on the bench and support everyone else, that I can do that, right? That it's not just about me, that it's about the team. And they get involved more with who they represent, not just, you know, their last name, but the team they represent. I think that's what's important.
How would somebody show that during tryout? Like, let's say they're new to the team and like they really want to showcase that they're a team player and they want to give back. Like, what is something that might stand out to you when you're watching people play?
It's honestly, it's a balance of knowing when to hold your teammates accountable. Because I don't think you always need to be that nice guy, right? You don't always need to be that one who kind of, you know, oh, nice try, or you'll get the next one, or and always being that person who's super soft, and but knowing when to be hard on your teammates and say, hey, you know what, this is what you need to do, or this might help, or sometimes knowing that they're going through a lot mentally, that's when you need to be soft and say, hey, you know what, don't worry about it, you know, you'll get the next one. Just understanding moments and understanding personalities and getting to know the person you're playing with in your trial, right? Introduce yourself, right? Tell them your name, make them feel comfortable with you, and then you can start to be a little bit more assertive, right? And once you show coaches that, you know, to me, especially good coaches, they're going to see that and they're going to want to embrace that into their team, right? Because it's not always about the individual player, right? Good coaches can always develop that, right? But what you're looking for, if you want success, if you want to win, coaches will always look for that teammate that's going to be, you know, who's going to always want others, or I want to play with that person, or I want to always be on that person's team because that person's always supportive, or they always know the right thing to say at the right time.
Definitely. I could not have said it any better myself. But yeah, I guess that concludes the interview. Thank you, Kadeem, so much for coming on. I really appreciate that I was able to host you. So yeah, like just thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and for reconnecting. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. When you first, you know, when it first got brought up to me, I wasn't sure if I was gonna do it, but it's because you asked me, and you know, I said, you know what, all right, I'll do the interview, and yeah, it was fun. Honestly, I'm just excited to see who's next, and yeah, I'm just glad to see that, you know, we're starting to get a lot more of the girls come out and do some of these interviews. I'd like to see, you know, maybe Kaylee do one or Tia do one, talk about, you know, her first year university. That would be fun. So I'm just excited to see the in the future.
Definitely. Amazing job, Kadeem. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Okay, talk to you later. Bye.
All right, so next week, or sorry, this Friday, Ishan will be back hosting Cole Duncanson. He played on our 18U boys team this past season and will be going to Queens next year. So stay tuned for more information throughout the week. He will be on this Friday. Bye for now.